You're listening to the Tech Addicts Podcast. On the show this week, the Starlink Mini, the Lenovo Tab Plus, Geekom's liquid-cooled mini PC, a quick look at the Xiaomi Mix Flip, Ted's thoughts on the OnePlus 12R, and TikTok's new song recognition feature. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts Podcast. Ted, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello? Anyone there?
Wow, yes, that's the two of us now online and ready to go. Apologies for us being late. We did have high hopes that we were going to have an extra super special guest, and there still is the potential that this podcast could contain that extra super special guest. I don't know if I'll re-record this intro, because I like to be spontaneous, and re-recording takes effort. So there is a potential we could have a special guest later in the show. If not, this will only be about an hour long, and you'll probably all appreciate that because you can get back to your lives. But I do have a super special guest in Ted. How are you, Ted?
I'm okay. Just to explain that there's going to be noise here. I wasn't expecting to record at this time today. I've got a delivery due any minute, so the doorbell will ring and we'll have to break for that. And also, in the background, I don't know if you can hear already, there's a soup maker on the go, which is making a right old racket. So
it actually sounds like a typical Tech Addict show then.
Yeah, on the fly as we are, take us or leave us, and if you start paying us salaries, then we won't have all these problems. We'll be professionals then.
Well, yes. But with any luck, our super special guest will join us, and if not, then we will just try and reconvene at a later date, because I'm heading off out of the country for a wee while on a holiday, and they can do it after that. All right. Well, we'll fire through some of the stuff that we have to talk about this week, which we should have done on Sunday, but we're not doing. Oh my word! I've just realised.
What? You're not recording.
No. I forgot the weather report, Ted. What's it like?
It's hot here, and I'm not at home. I'm in a different venue, and the venue is even hotter because it's inside a kind of lean-to part of a house which has got a plastic roof, and it's baking me. So anyway, yes,
you're in a lean-to being baked.
Yes.
Is it Mrs. Miggin's tea house?
It's something similar, yes. I did have a cup of tea. Where's that gone? I've lost my cup of tea. I don't like not being at home. It's very discombobulating.
Certainly is, yes, and saying that is discombobulating as well. It's fairly bluish skies here. There's a hint of blue in between the fluffy white clouds, but it's warm.
Yeah,
it's 22 degrees here at the moment.
Muggy and horrible.
It's nice, I suppose, but yeah, it's great weather. I can't complain. I do like the warmth. Ted doesn't.
Fair enough. No, I don't. You can stick it.
All right, well, we'll mosey on into the feedback, because we've got some feedback, and that's one of the reasons why I really want to record this show before we're going away, because these gentlemen have taken the time to write to us. So, Ted, which one are we going with first? Was Jeremy
just a bit of feedback from Jeremy, because we were talking about the size, or I was talking about the size of the Game Boy and that new aluminium analog pocket, which we spoke about on the last show. And I was saying that the Game Boy was significantly larger by the looks of it than this analog thingy. And furthermore, it's got it used to have 2 buttons and not 4 buttons. Now, when I recently tried to use such a device with 4 buttons in an array, my fat thumb was just crunching them left, right and centre. So the 2 buttons of the Game Boy are much better. So anyway, the long and the short of this is that Jeremy very kindly sent in a photograph with the 2 devices alongside each other, and sure enough, it sounds like what I was saying really. The new one, the analog pocket, is slightly taller, but it's certainly less fat, and it's also a slightly wider, so it is kind of bigger in a sense, but the Game Boy is chunkier, and it looks more solid, even though it's not made of aluminium, obviously. And I know which one I'd rather use, frankly, even though, as he points out, the screen size is much bigger on the aluminium analog pocket. But anyway, yeah, so thank you, Jeremy, for sending that photograph in. It was very helpful.
No, it's really nice to see them beside each other. You just get to see how crisp and colourful, monochromatic that screen is compared to the original Game Boy one, which is suffering from LCD degradation. Degradation.
Something like that.
It's getting worse. Worser. Yeah. So it's very nice. Thanks, Jeremy. That looks really nice.
I want a Game Boy again now. Seeing that picture, I really want one again. I know that it'll probably last about 10 minutes of nostalgia and then get put in a drawer, but I still want one.
Well, what I actually did last week to get me through a flight in a couple of days, I installed a thingy. I did. I really did. I installed a thingy. A thingy, and I can't remember what it's called. I can't even remember what it starts with. I have to find Samsung Gaming Hub under Samsung, I suppose, in my phone. To find out what the name of this thingy is, and it's a really simple to the point emulator that emulates anything that you put on. So I've gone and got all the ROMs of the games that I own and shoved them onto my phone, and and I can't find it. It's gone, but it's working really nicely. It does right up to PlayStation 1 very smoothly. And I didn't have to configure anything, just shoot it where it was. It went and scanned them, went and got all the box art itself. It's a bit like RetroArch, but even simpler again. There's the gaming hub there, and it's not got a name. It's green. Lemuroid.
Really?
Lemuroid. Lemuroid. Dead easy.
Well,
And
the key,
it runs very smoothly.
The key being that the word ends in oid. I think that's a requirement from anything that is anything to do with Android. It ends in oid, and then you know.
Well, but you can't search for your apps by oid. But I went and downloaded a. Oh no, it doesn't have to download it downloads the emulators for you. You don't have to do any of the switching around that other more capable emulation stations can do. But just for pick up and play purposes, this was dead easy.
Right.
I just showed it the folder and away it went.
Sounds great. Which phone have you put that on?
My S24.
Mm.
And I dug out my Game Sir, which is a controller thing that you can plug it into, and it works right out of the box with no configuration. Just happens.
Excellent. Good old Samsung. Good old Samsung and good old Game Sir.
Still not as charming as what Jeremy has there, and I would rather have that. But
yeah, 500 quid that was, wasn't it? 500 quid's worth of aluminium analog pocket. It's a lot of money, isn't it? Mind you, probably an original Game Boy is going to cost that as well, and a good one.
It is, yeah. I do have my Ambernick somewhere, but I can't remember where it is. And that's why I've done this, because I've been hunting high and low. I think I might have left it either in work or possibly in one of my many bags, and I'm not going through them all. Bit like my bank card is in one of my wife's handbags. She doesn't know which.
Oh.
It's got many. Always a problem. Right, Chad Everly has written in from Michigan in USA. In the middle, in line with Boston. Thanks, Chad.
That was me. I did that. Because my geography knowledge of America is so appalling that I looked it up, and sure enough, it's kind of in the middle of the country, in line with Boston, a bit higher than New York, and there's a kind of big lake next to it. So I'm sorry, Chad, but as I say, my knowledge of anything outside of the UK is a bit rubbish.
Well, I think Detroit's in Michigan, isn't it? Or Illinois? No, or something
Detroit.
like that.
Yeah, Detroit, Michigan. That seems to go together properly.
It does, because Evil Dead is from the Michigan boys. It's from the Michigan Mafia. Bruce and Sam Raimi and all that. They're from Michigan. And there's a new TV series coming out soon called Hysteria. Yeah. That's all shot in Michigan too.
Oh, right. Okay.
Anyway, that's another podcast for another day. Chad said, just wanted to say I'm thoroughly enjoying the Linux content on the podcast. I'm a Kubuntu user myself. I'm looking forward to the day you convince Ted to make the switch as well. Love the show. Thanks, Chad. Thanks for your comments. Ted, have you even considered making the switch, or are you steadfast in Windows?
No, I just don't want to screw up what I know works for me and burn my bridges like you almost have. And so I was talking on the show, the last show I think, about the possibility of using my little B-Link box and get that set up with something on it. But I just need to be led by the hand a bit because I've never done this before and I'm not very good at doing my own research. So when I sit down to do it, I will have a go, but I'm not going to do it instead of. I'm going to do it as well.
Yeah. See, Chad, I'm a bit hesitant about pushing Ted toward it. I don't know if he will. I do have a funny feeling Ted won't get on with the idea of permissions, because permissions in Windows is a bit of a pain in the ass, but permissions on Linux gets silly sometimes, and it can take a wee while for you to get your head around it, like allowing permissions to particular applications and things like that, and being able to fiddle about with them, and then having to use the terminal to fiddle about with something to try and fix something might just be a wee step too far.
I may not be enough of a tech addict. Perhaps I shouldn't be here at all.
No, we should replace you with someone who might be coming
Chad.
along. No.
Well, you can replace me with Chad. Come on, Chad, you can come on the show instead of me, and I'll have a lay-in every Sunday instead.
We could have some Linux ramblings as well.
I will have a look. I will, Chad. Seriously, I will get to it eventually. It's just that it's not my comfort zone, and like with most people and most things, when something's outside your comfort zone, I've also got some key things that I need to keep doing. Like the one I keep coming back to and banging on about is that I'm the editor of a magazine, and I use Microsoft Publisher to do that. And so whatever I use, I've got to be able to run Microsoft Publisher, at least until they drop it next year, the year after. So, there are things, I know you said, Gareth, that you can still run Windows programs under emulation or whatever it is. But I'm just a bit cagey. I'll get there though.
Well, yes, one day, and you might be forced to, who knows. All right, John Terry, not the footballer, has written in about the Starlink Mini. Ted, what does he have to say about that?
Now available in the UK with a different pricing plan. You'll remember the Starlink, which was championed on this very show by Ian Barton. He bought one, imported it, sat on a waiting list for months on end, and eventually they let him have one. He set it up, and this was he then had to get some scaffolding to put it on or something. I seem to remember it was a bit of a kind of a to-do really, but he got it working and it worked very well. This thing that John Terry's talking about is a Starlink Mini, which I think we actually did mention as coming soon on the show a while ago, but it's now arrived apparently. He says a £50 per month roaming plan means that you can take it all over Europe and have 50 gigabytes of data for use each month. You can pause the service if you want, so you only need to pay for the months you use it and can keep it as a backup device if that's what you need from it. The best part is, says John, that it can be powered from a USB-C with a powerful enough power bank and has built-in Wi-Fi router, so you can just connect it with you can just connect it as one device. It can be hooked up via Ethernet to a normal home router too. So this is Starlink kind of reaching out, stepping out and saying we want to have something that's mobile and not an Ian Barton special that people need to consider scaffolding to get organised and set up. This is something you take with you. And if you follow the link we'll put in the show notes, you can see exactly what size it is and how useful it is and all the rest of it. So your turn.
Well, yeah, I think the last time we looked at it was a wee bit off-putting because it seemed to be it was an additional plan on top of the residential plan you might already have. Mm-hmm. But this does seem that you can actually just pick up the Starlink Mini on its own for $50 per month.
50 quid.
50 quid, yeah, that'd be more like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Rovo, yeah, 50 quid. But you've got to buy the thingy, which I think, I've got a feeling is...
299.
Oh, was it 299? Okay. I thought it was more than that. So you've got to buy the hardware, which is what Ian had to do in the first place with his one. I think it cost him about 800 quid to get set up. And he had to pay £150 a month, I think it was, to use it. But because he lived in the middle of nowhere, it was really useful for him.
Yeah, there's a boat option as well, which is quite costly. You can get 5 terabytes of mobile priority data for £4,038 a month.
Good grief.
And they didn't round that up or down to 4,100 or 4,050. It's 4,038 per month.
Of course it is.
Interesting. That's probably an exchange rate in there somewhere. Wow. Okay, well, this is the way it's going to go, isn't it? And this will suddenly become normalised and standard. And we'll all just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move into my interesting Linux findings. I don't really have too much to talk about this week, other than Linux Mint version 22 arrived, and I upgraded to it. I only found that there was one particular issue standing in the way of me making an easy upgrade, because I didn't do a fresh install. I wanted to try and do just a typical sort of system upgrade from 21.8 or whatever it was to 22. And Skype was the one major problem. And I had to remove Skype and remove its repositories and all that kind of stuff before I could actually do the upgrade. So, Microsoft just came and haunted the whole experience, which would have been quite lovely otherwise.
Ooh.
But unfortunately, I need Skype to be able to do this podcast with that gimboid there, and anyone else who happens to join in before the end of the show.
We could use something other than Skype. We have recently been looking into those kinds of options, but we haven't actually found something that is going to be, kind of universally acceptable yet, have we?
Yeah, it's just getting the time. And I had thought about maybe using Jitsi this morning, but I don't want to record something and find out that it's not recorded or it's messed up somehow, especially whenever it's an important one, like what we're doing now.
We'll do
it in the projector room, see what happens.
Well, unimportant, completely unimportant. Yes, and the other thing is that you've got to assume that the other people that might be guesting or whatever have also got access to this tool and know how to use it and all the rest of it, whereas, most people have got an idea of what Skype's about, and quite possibly with a Windows computer it's on there anyway, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, this is more of a browser interface, and the browser just accesses your camera and your microphone, so you shouldn't need any client-side stuff. It's all fully in the cloud.
Okay.
And I'm looking to self-host. I've got it all set up. I've done all the hard work, and I keep it up to date and things like that. I just haven't had the balls to use it.
Okay.
I need to grow a pair.
Next show we'll do it.
Well, possibly.
Can you not do it as well, so you've got a backup?
Oh, I don't want to risk that. Ooh. But I would like nothing more than being able to get rid of Skype altogether and be done with it, because it's just a pain.
Yes, I agree.
In the bottom.
I do agree.
All right, so you have a bit of hardware in your house that I've expressed a great interest in.
Yeah, and I think you would really like this. The reason that you might not like it, the Lenovo Tab Plus, is because the chipset is kind of not very up to par, and the kind of things that you might want to do on it, like tinkering around with Linux, no doubt, might be a bit challenging for it. However, the main reason I got it is that it's got amazing speakers. Now, Adrian Brain, who posted a mini review of the unit, because he's got one as well in the MeWe group for tech addicts, he is not so impressed with the speakers as me, but I've been testing it this week, and I think the speakers are just stunning. The the piece of hardware is just it's a really odd shape, because in the bottom half of the tablet it's got these whacking great big speakers either side, and so it kind of does a dog leg. So at the top it's quite thin, and at the bottom it's really fat. But it has, in good old Lenovo kind of yoga style from the past, got a innovative and helpful, unlike that noise.
Is that your soup maker?
Yeah, it is. An innovative and helpful stand on the back. Do you remember those stands on the yogas? They were really useful. That's unbelievable noise, isn't it? Shall we stop and carry on when it's finished in 45 seconds?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just a bit concerned. What exactly are you making in the soup? Is there human bodies going in or something?
Hopefully it's not my fingers. So it's a really nice device. I was actually, and it's got a desktop, a PC mode, which a bit like running Dex or Ready 4 or whatever. You can run it in that kind of, with that kind of desktop mode going on, and that's got potential as well. The only trouble is it's got no HDMI out or USB-C to HDMI or anything. So you can't get the thing, unlike Dex, you can't get the thing onto a computer. Well, actually, with a Samsung tablet, you can't get that to a PC. It's got to be into a monitor or a TV. It doesn't work with PC. It only works from a phone with a PC. Anyway, I'm waffling now. The point is that the speakers, I think, are just stunning. I was testing it against the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 this week, which I used to hold as the greatest sound a mobile device has ever produced outside of Bluetooth speakers, and it just knocks it away. It's just louder and better quality. If you tweak with the settings a bit, you can make it even better quality. Turn the volume down to about 80%, which is fine because the thing can stand that, and it's just stonking. I can't believe how good the sound is. Anyway, so I'm trying. The main reason I bought it really was because I got this lovely Motorola phone with Smart Connect, which replaced Ready 4, and I was hoping to hook it up to the phone and make them all talk to each other. But actually, the Lenovo Tab Plus, unfortunately, is still stuck back on Ready 4, and it hasn't got Smart Connect. I'm hoping in time Smart Connect will come along and all those things will start working together and talking to each other, but we'll have to see. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm working on a review over the next few weeks on it, with it. It's got a stylus. There's apparently a keyboard coming if you want to buy it separately. It didn't come with a stylus. I bought that separately, but it was really cheap, and it works really well. It's got some of its own software on it that is supporting the stylus. Really nice, and it was only 266 quid from Amazon UK. And it's got a card slot and a micro SD card slot. I've got my one terabyte micro SD card in there, and it works absolutely fine. You know, for someone that is going to concentrate more on media consumption and streaming and what have you, it works absolutely brilliantly. It's just not a powerhouse like my Samsung tablet is.
Yeah. I'm looking at it entirely for my son, because he's got that Nokia T20.
20, yeah.
And he's really wanting an upgrade. He keeps borrowing his mummy's tablet to go and watch something on Plex or watch something off of Netflix, because the screen, he much prefers the screen on the Samsung that she has. And the speakers are quite weedy on the T20, so I think this would be a nice logical upgrade of that, with that 2K screen. And it's not 11.5.
It's not that expensive either, really.
No,
they've kept the cost down because of that chipset, I think. And I mean, it has got 8 gigs of RAM, and you're right, it's an LCD panel, so that it's not an OLED. But then my Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 is not an OLED either, and it's perfectly good.
Oh yeah. And whenever it comes to his eyes, it's fine. It doesn't. He's not going to be picking about it at all. He just likes the kind of the brightness.
There's the delivery. I told you this would be fun.
But then it comes with that lovely little case that goes around it, and there's this a keyboard as well. So it's got Lenovo are very good at adding on extras for you to be able to pick up at not a heck of a lot of price. Samsung tend to charge an extra bit for it, for all their little bits and bobs that they add on. So yeah, it's worthwhile. Time we had.
Right, are you still recording?
I am, yeah.
Right, that's it. All the interruptions now, apart from my dad coming in, are now over. Where did we get to?
Well, I finished off the Lenovo Tab Plus, so we'll fire on into the news, muse and views section, where scientists have designed a miracle fabric that turns rigid at the push of a button. Now, I did watch the video on this the other day, and it seems it seems useful, I suppose. It does have its actual reasons, but for most people, it'll just seem like, why would you want that? But Ted, tell us a bit about this and what it's actually for.
I think it's aimed at the medical profession, really. They're talking about giving people splints and things on arms. There's a picture there of some guy who's wrapped it around his arm, and then it's magically turned into a solid thing instead of a fabric thing. And yeah, I mean the implications are for people with broken arms, or people who want to dress up in a robot suit and go on to Projector Room podcast. I think that they'd have quite a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I haven't. It's so long since I posted this story. I can't remember what it's about. But you tell me, because you watched the video.
Well, I did, yeah. It's just a fabric that they pass an electrical current through, and it turns it into into like a hardened polymer type thing. But initially, I wasn't thinking of it for broken arms or whatever. I thought you could make prisoners' suits out of it, jumpsuits that they're in prison. So if they escape, it would be worth just letting them out to hit the button and see them running across the field, and then all of a sudden go and collapse.
Yes.
But yeah, you can imagine very well what happens is that it's kind of like a frozen suit sort of thing, and yeah, it could certainly help, but I don't know that this is going to be any cheaper to make than
Plaster of Paris.
Plaster cast. Yeah, that's the one.
No, probably not.
Which is tried and tested and works really well, unless you try to give Richie the bumps whenever he's got two broken legs. That's always the worst thing. I remember that traumatized me, that episode of Bottom, the first time I saw it. I thought it was absolutely terrible. But yeah, it could be a cool thing. I look forward to them using it and being able to put it into other things as well, because we can use it in other places.
I can imagine. Let's not go there.
Well, no, I'm thinking more of like Mars. Whenever they drop something on Mars, they have to use a parachute, and it plummets toward Mars.
Oh, okay.
I think there was, I can't remember if it's The Martian or something, but there's something that there's an inflatable jobby that explodes around it and cushions the impact, and it bounces across the surface of Mars. But something like that could happen, or like this could help, and especially if it works the other way as well, where you press the button again and it then becomes soft. Yeah, it'd be really quite cool. I'm sure somewhere like NASA will find a use for it.
Surely not. You can't press the button and make it fabric again. If you could do that, if that's the idea here, then you could. It would definitely be good for broken arms, because you could just wrap this stuff around the arm, press a button, it turns hard, and when the thing's healed, press a button and take it up again. I mean, that would be perfect. I hadn't thought for a minute that you could do it round the other way.
and you give it to someone else, and well, you have to wash it out first because we're a bit stinky on the inside after someone's worn it for a couple of weeks. But yeah,
it looks like one of your Star Wars suits.
my Star Wars suits.
Well, you like Star Wars.
I am on the side of it's all right.
Okay then.
I'm not a Star Wars-aholic. All right, as Windows 10's end of life date approaches, Windows 11 is hitting 30% of the market share for the first time. Now, this confused me initially to start with because I thought Windows 10 that Microsoft had either changed the end of life date or put out some sort of extra date that they were going to support it to or something along those lines. Did they not?
No.
Quite recently as well.
No, I think you're. I think you're dreaming. What there is though, there is a company who. Well, Microsoft will let you extend the support for 3 more years after 2025.
Oh, you have to pay.
But you have to pay them to do it. But there is another firm that are claiming that they will keep your computer updated. Again, you've got to pay them. And I can't remember what the firm's called now, but they're a quite well-known company who do updates and look after hardware and all the rest of it, and software. And they're saying that they will do this for you as well if you really want to. But the interesting bit here is that after the tech press is generally poo-pooing Microsoft and saying, up your bum, Microsoft, we're sticking to Windows 10. And some people even trying to back their computers from 11 to 10 in order to stick it up the Microsoft even further. What's happening now is that the adoption is happening as we knew it would, because anyone that buys a new computer, a new Windows computer, it's going to come with Windows 11 on it now, or it's highly likely, and so the statistics will just grow and grow and grow. 30% now, even though there might always be 10% or 5% of users that want to stick it to Microsoft, the vast majority of anyone buying or using a Windows computer will just comply and get on with it and do it. And so statistically, the naysayers don't stand a chance, do they?
No, they don't.
They should go and use Linux.
They should. That would be better for everyone, wouldn't it? That would include you, wouldn't it?
So you say. We shall see. Anyway, 30% now, 40% this time next year, and then by the time October 25, isn't it? It'll be 80%.
I don't know about that now, but we'll see. And you gotta wonder why people would want to pay for the Windows 10 security updates to carry on whenever it is like, I suppose, well, a bigger business, if they've got lots and lots of computers, it's not going to be that much for them to have to switch it over. And most legacy software is going to be all right.
It's the hardware, though. That's the trouble. And that's why I had to get a new computer, ultimately, my new desktop. Because my hardware, it was going to cost me more than my desktop, significantly more than my desktop was costing me, my new desktop, to... Well, it was new to me, it was second hand, but it was going to cost about 500 quid to upgrade the one I've got, and I got this perfectly good desktop to replace it for 250. It was second hand, and from a person I knew, but even so, it was just much cheaper way to go, and so I've given in.
Yeah. I just updated to Linux Mint 22. It didn't cost me a penny.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on to an affordable yet audiophile-worthy music player called the Activo P1 from Starling Mini, which is arriving to market at a price. The price isn't too bad. It's about £399 for this little doohickey. It's got a 4.1 inch touch screen, and it supports wireless streaming over dual band Wi-Fi for Spotify and Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Cubase, Tidal, and Roon. I've never heard of Roon before. It does high-res audio and supports up to 384 kilohertz. And 32 bits of sample, including DSD256.
Oh,
So
that.
what do you think
Oh,
of
that
that?
thing, yeah.
Good old DSD256.
Yeah, yeah.
We can't have. That's like VGA, but better.
Yes. I'm guessing that this is going to be running Android, but I could be wrong. It could be completely proprietary. I can't actually see a reference to that anywhere. If it is running Android, then
It looks like it.
yeah, it must be, mustn't it? If it is running Android, then it will have access to anything, not just those music services. Anything that you can put onto Android, you'll be able to do it with, unless it's got a hookup with certain service providers that will only kick in the high-res audio if you're using those applications. So that could be it. But I'm not convinced at the moment. I'm scanning through here. Not convinced that it is Android. I don't know, because on the screenshots we've got in front of it, there's not a typical. Well, I suppose it is kind of Android looking. Yeah.
There's the back home and
Yeah.
the pie menu thing on the left.
Wrong way
And
round as
the
they
top
might be.
bar looks like Android too.
Yeah, yeah. Fair
I
enough.
think the safest money is that it's Android.
Fair enough. But yeah.
But which version of Android is the big question? It could be
Yeah.
version 4.
And how often are they? Yeah, exactly. And how often they're going to update it as well. So yes, standalone music players with old-fashioned audio jack holes, plug sockets, and nice little aluminium body, which is just lovely, isn't it? We like these. We like the Sony Walkman thing. Bring back vinyl, bring back paper books, and bring back MP3 players. I agree.
All right, okay. This is the Tech Addict podcast. Boo to technology. Bring back good old-fashioned physical things. Right.
No, this is still technology. It's still lovely tech, isn't it? And
It is, yeah.
they're after FIO, aren't they? Because of FIO are the ones that are, but they've undercut them for cost, no question at all.
Yeah. I've got my my wee iRiver over there charging so that I can listen to it on the flight. That's my plan.
Very nice.
Just dump a load of lovely music on there, maybe a few audiobooks, and away we go. So, another bit of hardware that is turning some heads, and people are throwing out some rumours about it, is the new Google TV streamer set-top box that I think it was 9 to 5 Google cracked a wee while ago, but we've actually got some details on what exactly we can expect from it, including a slightly newer version of the controller that was on the Google TV with Chromecast that they put on a wee while ago. I don't think anyone really liked that controller, but they seem to have expanded it a bit more. I keep dropping it. It keeps slipping out of my silky smooth hands. I find that if you throw some whiskey over your hands, you can grip it much better. And maybe some beer nuts or peanuts or dry roasted peanuts are the best. It gives you a little bit of extra grip when you're picking these things up. They get a bit manky and you have to wash them, and they're not waterproof. I'm going to shut up now. Ted, tell us about these.
I don't know an awful lot about it, except that it's a Chromecast, and everyone's up in arms because the new news that came out in the last 24 hours, actually, after this article was posted, is that instead of it being a Chromecast wallet-friendly 20 quid or whatever they used to be, it's going to be more like 120 quid. And it's more like a piece of hardware that you put on your desk. It's a kind of wedge-shaped thingy that plugs in, and it's got its own power cable, and it's just a whole different thing to the Chromecast. It might do similar things to what the Chromecast does, but the styling they're liking to the Pixel tablet. This is what they think Google are after. They like this kind of pill-shaped kind of front end, and the back of the tablet and the front of the speaker that used to come with the tablet is that shape, and the handle on the back of the tablet is that shape, and they're just after that kind of design language, I think. But apart from that, the Google TV streamer, Chromecast, Google TV, it's all just going to do the same stuff as it's done on a little puck that's 20 quid, isn't it?
Yeah, and the specification that they threw in, I think it has, 8 gigabytes of storage. It's speculated to have that. I think that is the same as the Google TV. But we need to see round the back, and we need to see what exactly is there. If there's, well, hopefully there's an Ethernet cable. There's got to be an Ethernet cable. And then if there's a couple of USB Type-Cs or something like that you can put in expandable storage. But I don't think Google's too fussed on expandable storage anymore, and they just want you to stream, hence the fact it's called the streamer.
Yeah.
So you're going to be, just shoved Netflix and Amazon Prime and all that. And their whole ADI interface. I don't see the point in this. I was quite excited to the idea of it initially, but then I remembered how poor the Google TV, Chromecast with Google TV, ended up being, and I rarely use it. I much prefer my NVIDIA Shield, and it does upscaling really nicely. This should hopefully do upscaling as well. It obviously does 4K, but it'd be great if it had some sort of inbuilt upscaler just to really give you some value for money. If it's going to be over £100.
No, it's not actually.
But yeah,
I've just found the story from a couple of days ago. Oh, yes, it is.
Oh.
Yes, they're saying €120. Although there's a listing in France they found that says it's €69.99. So they don't really know about the pricing, but it's certainly not going to be £20.
yeah, it's because it's not going to occupy the same price as what they did before, which was $60 or £60. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was about that. For this, it's nowhere near as portable. You can't take it with you to a hotel.
Well, you could, I suppose.
Could you shut up, please, Mr. Bird? I don't know if you can hear that awful thing out there.
I think you can. I think you could take it with you if you wanted to, but as you say, we need to see around the back, don't we, to see if it's a proprietary plug or it's USB-C or where those cables go. Is that an Ethernet cable or is it not?
Yes, yeah, and it's an awkward time. People are waiting for some sort of killer TV box to arrive. Because obviously, smart TVs, what's installed on those is trash, and I think everyone's going to be bitten by the bug of Netflix isn't going to be updated on your TV at some stage, so you're going to have to get something to plug into it. You're not going to want to have to buy a new TV every time Netflix needs an update. So with Amazon Fire Sticks, yeah, they're quite good, but they do tend to slow down. And if you buy a cheap one, you're only going to get a couple of years use out of it. It's the same with Roku, and they remove services and these sorts of things, so you need to have a couple of them. I can't remember which service it is, but Google's Chromecast or Google TV with Chromecast doesn't have one particular app, and I can't remember what it is, but it might be Amazon Prime. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've used it, but there's no one box fits all other than the Shield. And at some point, NVIDIA are going to update that again and release a third version. But they're taking their time. I know they're busy with graphics cards and all that, and being the biggest company in the world, but they still created the best TV streaming box, and they're not going to fix it because it ain't broken. So it's a good time for Google to be putting out something like this before NVIDIA do announce it. And putting out a new one of these might see NVIDIA go, all right, well, we could refresh that and stick in something a bit more exciting, and bring it in line with the modern streaming things out there.
Especially given that NVIDIA is now the most valued company in the known universe.
Yes, they are, yes. Through their nefarious tactics. Okay, Geekom have put out a liquid-cooled mini PC that is a branded version of the Techno Mega Mini Gaming 1. This is a particularly exciting little device. Ted, I think you want one of these, don't you?
I want one, but I don't know anything much about it. I've forgotten about this story as well. It just looks like it's absolutely lovely. That photograph we're looking at is actually that is the Mega Mini G1. So that is the yeah. Anyway, it just looks absolutely full of interestingness. And having that on your desk instead of a black box, which is a tower PC, it's got all sorts of interesting colours going on inside. It's glass on three facing sides. It's got a mirror by the looks of it in the back of it. There's lighting going on. There's little tubes and it just looks like tremendous fun. I think and it's not that big. It looks like it's about less than a foot tall and about 6 inches by 6 inches. And it just looks like an awful lot of fun. I mean, you can run through the tech specs if you like to see if you think it's actually any good. But I'm in it for the fun factor, and if it's a if it's a half decent spec computer, I'll chuck away my one that I just got and get this one.
Well, the specs are quite nice. It's a Core i9 13900H. It's got a GeForce RTX 4060 inside of it, and it's got DDR5 5200, 64 gigabytes of DDR5, 2 M.2 slots, and for PCI 4 NVMe storage, and Wi-Fi 6E built into it, Bluetooth 5.2. It's got a bunch of USBs. I can't say there's anything particularly wrong with it at all. I'd love to see it if it arrived with those specs.
No USB-C.
There's not much in the way of
all those connections are all USB Type A, not C.
The top one is USB Type C, full function.
Okay.
It proclaims.
Okay.
But yeah, there's one USB Type C.
Okay.
But to be honest, how many USB Type Cs do you actually use on your computer?
None.
For a desktop,
I've got one on the front of my new box computer. I've never used it.
Yeah, I've got a USB Type C on the back of mine, and no, I don't. No, it's not used. No.
It's also got a little display on this. You see the top front of this. It's got a little display giving you data about what's going on, no doubt, and how hot your computer is, and how fast it is, and how efficient it is. That's even more fun.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think. That's really becoming a thing. And if you haven't got that, there's no point in releasing something. People need to know. And it's actually becoming a big business to be able to go on places like AliExpress and buy little monitors that you can sellotape to the side of your computer that just output temperatures and things like that. I have one sitting beside me now that I did have hooked up to my computer for a while when I was running Windows, but it just started getting really annoying because it was a second screen, and Windows would just from time to time decide, right, I'm going to put things on that screen for you. It's like, no, put them on my main screen. Just leave one app running on that screen. That's all I want it for. It was like, no, sorry, it's going to be this way, whether you like it or not. Pain in the bottom.
Oh, you got one of those, have you? Have you?
I do. Well, it's a Wii Max that I unboxed ages ago on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's not a bad screen. It's more designed for hooking up to a camera or a security camera or something like that. But it's got a bit of an odd resolution. But it works. I just don't use it really, and I've never looked into doing it under Linux because I've got a big enough screen real estate here. Anyway, moving into the phone zone where we'll talk flip phones because Xiaomi have teased a wee Mix Flip. Cool name.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this?
There's a lot of YouTube videos on this, and I meant to watch at least one of them before we recorded, but it's been an odd recording week this week, but there seems to be some interest in this. It's not cheap. It's going to be about, I think it's 1,300 quid or something like that. So, they're aiming for the top here. It's got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 inside, and it's got a 4-inch cover display. The panel inside is 6.86, so nearly the same size as the Motorola one, which is really tall and big once you've got it open. 3,000 nits in terms of brightness, 120 hertz refresh rate. The main camera has got a 50 megapixel. I mean, there's not a huge amount of interesting things that leap out from the spec sheet at me. But, as I say, I did intend to watch a couple of reviews before today, and I didn't get around to it. Did you at all?
No, no, I didn't actually.
Okay.
I've been battling with celebrities to try and get them on the show this morning.
Okay, we'll swiftly move on from that. Maybe we'll come back to it next time.
Yes. Well, I was actually just reading the next story because I, I just remembered that it's quite an interesting one, and that Samsung are going to be removing their messaging app.
Oh yeah.
In exchange for, well, using something else, more than likely Google Messages.
Yeah.
And this is down to RCS primarily, isn't it?
Yes, because Samsung can't be bothered to make their own messages app to be compliant fully with RCS and to do the research and stuff going on with that. When they've taken the very sensible decision, I think, that they're already in bed with Google anyway. They're hand holding with Google now, so why not start to use Google's applications? Starting with the Google Messages, which is, as you say, all about RCS, let Google do the running on that, and they can just jump in on it, and then let Samsung share their research and development stuff with Google, and let them pick up some of the stuff they're doing. I think this partnership's actually quite positive for Android and the way forward. Let each company do their own researching and developing, and then they both pick it up, and hopefully that will filter out to other OEMs as well. I'd like to see Motorola get in on the act, but that's something for the future, no doubt. But yeah, so starting, I think, with phones in the United States of America and new phones. So I don't think that they're going to be backporting this necessarily, but I could be wrong. They're going to be, the default messaging app is going to be Google Messages, so much so that new hardware, as I say, is going to come without Samsung Messages even installed on it. So, yes, a change.
Hang on, Ted. Someone's just walked up my driveway and down in front of my house. I'll be back in a minute.
Shall I talk about the next story? I'll tell you what, I'll talk about the next story, which is that Google thinks you should disable 2G on your phone because of security issues. And the security issues are that you might lay yourself open to someone hacking into your phone, because SMS blasters expose a fake LTE or 5G network which executes a single function, downgrading the user's connection to a legacy 2G protocol. The same device also exposes a fake 2G network which lures all the devices to connect to it. At this point, attackers abuse the well-known lack of mutual authentication in 2G and force connections to be unencrypted, which enables a complete person in the middle, PIT M as it's otherwise known, position to inject SMS payloads. So there you go. They're suggesting that you turn 2G off on your phone if it's turned on. Some phones don't let you turn it on. Other phones, we've been in the MeWe group this week. We've been comparing different models of phones as to who's actually got a switch. Motorola's got a switch, and it says by default 2G is off, and you've got to actively turn it on. Other phones, it's just on, and you can't control it. I think it also depends on what carrier you're using as well, as to whether you get a 2G switch. But yeah, there are security issues related to having 2G on, and they're trying to shuffle people away from having that on at all. I kept going with that story while you were gone.
What a pro you are. Sorry, it was just a bit suspicious. A fellow from Finex Gas has just showed up in the house. And he drove up in a Volkswagen Golf,
right,
as opposed to a Phoenix Gas van. And he's doing the whole neighbourhood.
Did you give him short shrift?
No, I just watching the security camera, making sure that he's gone.
Yeah. Anyway, so rounding off the phone zone, I did a review on my lovely new Motorola Edge 50 Pro, which I'm absolutely in love with. The best phone I've ever had. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes because it's really nice. Do read it. And also, Motorola, when they were sending me that phone, they also sent me a pair of Moto Buds Plus. And so it came in a lovely what they called, what is it, something box they called, I can't remember what it's called now, but it was a lovely PR box, and it had all this stuff in it, including badges and a mug and all the rest of it. Really nice, and so well done, Moto PR. And I did tell the truth in my review, and I do tell the truth now when I say I absolutely love the phone. And the buds are great as well. The Moto Buds Plus they're called, and they're no £300 Samsung buds, but for what they are, they're really, really good, and they make a great sound. And the other review, I'll put a link to the show notes in, is the OnePlus 12R. Again, OnePlus PR sent us over a 12R to PSC to review, and I personally, it's not my favourite phone of the time. I wish it had wireless charging, which it hasn't got. If it had that, that'd be a big difference. And it's very big and a bit bulky, and you've got to like the way in which BBK Group do their stuff these days, and Oxygen OS 14 is more like Colour OS in some ways. So yeah, it's a flavour that you kind of like or don't like. I was interested to see that it's got the alert slider switch on it, which is great. And its RRP is 649, but you can get it for about £100 less than that if you want it. And there's a lot of phone there. It's very good. It's just that it's probably not quite for me. Anyway, link in the show notes to my review of that too.
Excellent. They're two very solid looking reviews. I did read through most of the Edge 51, but I haven't had a look at the OnePlus yet. I'll maybe read that later on this evening.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting device. I get what you mean. It is something that you have to want more so than we'll just pick it up and make do. If that makes sense.
The OnePlus, you mean?
Yeah,
the OnePlus. I used to like Oxygen OS. I thought it was really good when it came across from Cyanogen, and it was all very vanilla, and they added some interesting stuff of their own in as well, and it was all good. And then with the Colour OS thing and the BBK stuff, I don't know. It just doesn't feel quite as like it used to be to me. But it's still a very good handset. I wouldn't, if I had to use it, I'd have no problem at all using it. Once you get to know where things are in the settings.
Yeah. Well, I have to update folks. Unfortunately, our celebrity guest is not going to be able to make it. They've cancelled, and they will, but they do very much want to be on the next show at the end of next week. So we'll do this all again. Woohoo!
And not reveal who it is until even then.
Yes.
The suspense will kill you, everyone.
It will, and I promise you, it's not Alan or Aidan. It's a famous person.
Yes.
Well, it's actually a pair. Yeah. All right. Next up is TikTok. They're rolling out a new song recognition feature, which will be quite nice. That's one thing that I really miss off my Pixel is the ability to be able to get a song. And I have. What's it called? Shazam.
Yeah.
Shazam. And I don't think it's anywhere near as good as that one that was on the Pixel. And the Pixel one just continually monitored in the background, which is a bit creepy.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to be able to go, what was I listening to?
This is a bit different to this, though, because this is about the humming thing. So you can hum a song to it, or put it in front of a speaker or whatever, and it will tell you what's being played. But they're selling this on the back of the humming thing, which Samsung have jumped onto, and everyone else is doing as well. But you're right, Pixel have got the uniqueness. Well, unless as you say, you've installed a third-party app to do it. Out of the box, it's recognising what is around it, which is great.
Yeah, I thought they were going to build that into YouTube Music as well. I remember Google pushing that you'd be able to hum and whistle the tune,
they have.
Which is going to really cause Scott Mills some problems with his... Oh, heck. Here, are you getting that rain?
Oh, you got some rain, have you? Lovely, you swine.
Big rain as well.
Oh, I wish I had that here.
I'll have to close the window. Hold
on. It's all happening today, isn't it? Blimey.
It's all good today, isn't it? Right, there we go. We're good. We done with TikTok?
What? Oh yeah, we're done with TikTok. Yeah, let's move on to Chrome Coroner and Google Gallows. Or
Okay,
even
we got a bit of excitement here from Ted. Let's talk about this.
Well, let's see what, because I can't remember any of these stories. What's this first one about? This is about Google changing their mind about third-party cookies. So actually, this is out of date now, because they're now focusing in on ripping. No, actually, that's a different story. Right? Okay, they're gonna now not take third parties out. Forget that story. Chromebooks are going to get the screen flashing Android feature for notifications alert. So, in the same way as you can now set your Android phone to flash the flash on the back of the phone or flash the screen when notifications come in, Chromebooks are going to get that as well. And obviously they haven't got a flash to flash, but they can flash the screen at you. And if you really want your screen to flash at you when you
the
get
whole screen,
yeah, apparently, so you can not miss a notification.
Because you may be having a seizure or something like that,
Something
possibly,
like
if
that,
they're
yeah.
flashing the screen at you.
Yeah, quite exactly. So anyway, that's going on. Call casting and internet sharing I'm not doing that story either because I can't remember about it.
Ted, we're only going to be 15 minutes long in this show, as opposed to 2 hours and 15.
I told you, you jumped this show on me with no notice. I had no chance to do my normal homework. It's your fault. So, Google Drive.
Yes, folks, we had a whole show worked out to do with this other person, but they're not able to make it, and we can't just not put out a show, so we've cobbled this together. Apologies.
Right, okay. Let's see if I know anything about this one. Google Drive takes on Microsoft Lens better for document sharing. They're rolling out this thing whereby you can use Google Drive to... Oh yeah, I remember this one. So in Google Drive, in the documents, eventually, if you get this, I didn't get this yet, but you can, in the bar at the top, you get a little lens thingy, Google Drive lens thingy, and you can then drag that onto the whatever screen you're on, and it will search for you. And in the same way as Microsoft Lens can do at the moment with Microsoft products. So there's that. And the last thing, if I can get to the end of this section quickly. Oh look, we've got no bargain basements either. This is a rubbish show, isn't it? It really is. I forgot all about that. There's no harkback, no bargain basements. Blimey, it's going to be an early shower, isn't it? Circle to Search is arriving to streamline Google Lens. That's the same story, isn't it? I think who puts these show notes together? Right, let's go back to something else more interesting, shall we?
Well, I do like this circle to search thing. It has actually amazed people whenever I've shown them how it works, because I can do it on my Samsung Galaxy S24. My wife will go, "What's that?" when she's looking at a tree. She was trying to identify what kind of tree it is we have at the end of our driveway to the left.
Okay.
If you're at the other end of the driveway, then it's on the right.
Yes, or
sense.
turned around the other way.
Well, yes, and if you're standing on your head, it's the one that's pointing down. That tree, we don't quite know what it is, but apparently it's a sycamore tree.
Uh-huh.
But we took picture of the of the leaves and circled search, and it did in fact tell us that it was a leaf.
Oh.
Yeah, an actual leaf, a green one too.
Is that all? Is that all it said?
Well, no, it did tell us that it belonged to a tree.
Right. Well, any old tree, right. Jolly good.
Yeah, one of the ones that we have growing natively, which it might not be. We have fir trees in the garden as well. They're not natives. Native trees, indigenous. I don't. Yeah, so it really is very, very handy. And my wife went, "Oh, okay," and she was watching some television program, and she liked the girl's shoes, so she paused it. She took a picture of the screen, and then circled search. No, it was a dress. Sorry, it was a weather lady was wearing a particular dress, and she circled to search the dress and found the dress, and found that they no longer sell that dress, but she could get it off Etsy or one of those second-hand places if she was interested.
Right.
But she really liked the dress. So it's useful to let you know that you can't buy things.
I do find that Circle to Search is useful. I do agree, and it's one of the things I miss not using a Samsung or a Pixel phone. With Motorola, they haven't got it yet, and I'm sure it'll come, but no doubt with Android 15. But yeah, and whenever I test it, whenever I use it, it works really well. Um, and I was also testing this week, as an aside, the magic eraser tool. I took a photograph of this dinosaur because we know how dinosaurs all still exist, and in front of the dinosaur there was these power lines, cables, phone cables or something, and I set it to work in Google Photos, and it just did it brilliantly. You follow the instructions, and it took it away, and you just couldn't see that they were ever there. Brilliant. I gave the same task to Samsung Gallery to do, and now subsequently, after I had a go at this, somebody else showed that you can do it with Samsung Gallery, but my first attempt of it, which I was doing the same way as the Google Photos way, it was just rubbish, absolutely hogwash, and it made the dinosaur have a second head for one thing. It would just work really, really badly. And so I posted this in the MeWe group, and then someone jumped in, as I say, and said, well, actually, I've made it work okay. But anyway, the point is that the Google Photos, a bit like we were saying earlier about Samsung and Google being in bed with each other. One of them does one thing really, really well, someone else is lagging behind. They all adopt the same things in the end, and they all kind of work together to make the experience pretty good for everyone. So yes, I agree. Circle to Search is a really good tool, and it should be on every phone out there, and also Magic Eraser.
Yes, yeah. I do like hearing stories about practical uses. I don't think there's enough of practical uses where, you get from the demonstration where Circle to Search might be quite useful, but whenever you see people putting it to use or hear people putting it to use, it helps you, encourages you to go out and actually have a wee go yourself. It's like AI. Whenever I sit down in front of AI, I'm like, what do I want to do? I don't know, and then I'll maybe go away and not bother with AI at all. So you've got to think of practical ideas. So if you hear people talking about it,
sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just on that very point. I was looking at AI this week as well, and I was looking at these YouTube videos of people doing all this really, really clever stuff with Samsung devices, and it just looks really, really impressive. And using the S Pen to do that, and the Samsung Notes to do that, and blah blah blah. And then on reflection, after I spent half an evening looking at these videos, I thought to myself, when am I ever actually practically going to be to use any of this stuff? We were just talking about Circle to Search, practical use, fair enough, and I can use that, and I miss it on my Motorola. But if all that stuff that Samsung were talking about was just taken away, I really can't see that it's going to affect my life in any way. Now, maybe if I was still working and I was still processing documents, and I was creating annotations and PDF documents to scribble on and blah blah blah, and same thing applies with the Kindle Scribe, to be honest. I look at the Kindle Scribe and I think my tech addict's hat on, and I think, oh, I really want one of those. But when you actually start to look at it, you think, well, what would I use it for? This is designed for students, is it, or teachers, or research scientists who create papers and documents and wall charts and people that are writing books, or they're creating music, or they're all these things and people. I think you're quite right, going back to your original point. Practical uses for ordinary people like us. Well, I'm not very ordinary, but you are.
Well, thanks.
I think you're quite right. Right, your turn.
No. My daughter went away to Copenhagen a wee while ago, and she sent us over some pictures on WhatsApp. And there was a really nice picture of her sitting on a wee grassy mound, with a blue sky in the background. And it was a very nice picture. Aside from a lady standing in the background, demolishing some kind of Subway or a sandwich, and she had her mouth open right in and around it. It actually looked like I had to double take at it. I just thought, oh, if only. Well, I stuck it. I took the picture out of WhatsApp and put it into the Samsung gallery, and used the magic eraser that they have, and it replaced her with a pine tree, and it looked really good. I sent it back to Hannah, going, "There you go. That carnivorous sandwich eater in the background is now gone." She's like, "Wow, that's amazing." She hadn't seen that kind of technology before. She has an iPhone, and that hasn't happened to her before. She hasn't been able to do that.
Well,
I don't know. Can iPhones do that?
what you can do with an iPhone, as I understand it, is this thing that's coming to Samsung, to One UI 7 or even 6.1.1, I think, One UI, which is to draw a picture and have the system turn it into something spankingly good after you've drawn it. But I still say the same thing applies. You can play with that. You can get your S Pen out and you can say, "Oh, look, isn't it fantastic?" Or your Apple Pencil. Isn't that brilliant? But who really is going to be wanting to do that apart from doodling and showing your friends and just playing around with stuff that is technically possible? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
It's toys.
You need to work out how to be able to fit it into your life.
Toys, I tell you, it's toys.
It is. But the people don't like to actually go and find it themselves. You walk down... I was in B&Q the other day, and I walked down the aisle thinking, "Ooh, I could use that. Ooh, I wouldn't mind that. That'd be nice." And you start to look for reasons to have it, but whenever there's a tool on your phone, you kind of just gloss past it. You'll get to it at some stage.
Yeah, that's definitely.
It doesn't have that generate any excitement.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, and there is this draw to new hardware, whatever it is, whether it's a hammer in B&Q or a shiny new Lenovo tablet, which has wowed me this week. But actually, the ways in which I will use it. You see, I was talking earlier about the Lenovo tablet and hooking up with my Motorola phone and using PC mode, but actually, when I've seen all that working and I've played with it, much like I do with Dex and Smart Connect on my PC, all working, all lovely and jubbly, but any practical use, probably very limited. The only thing I would say about my lovely new Motorola phone is that most of the time that I'm playing about with this stuff, I'm sat in front of my Windows computer, and the Smart Connect software is just brilliant. I can echo the phone screen on my screen. I can route the music through to my PC speakers if I want to. Not that I need to, because the music's on the PC too, but all of that works as expected. Multiple clipboards across the system work both ways, but at the end of the day, I think the point I'm coming to is that some of those things are really, really useful, but a lot of them are things that we all could just not have and not live with, and they're just toys. There's a show title coming up here. Something to do with toys. Toys for the boys.
Okay. Ooh, right. We can't do that. But yes. All right. Well, we'll bring it to a close there. We'll love yous and leave yous. And sorry that we're only sort of half the length of what we normally do. But we will try and get another show out before the end of next week, hopefully with our super special guest. And it'll probably be a fiasco as well, a bit like this one. But then after that, we'll be back to regular programming, I'm sure. Yes. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk or contact@techaddicts.uk or anything. I've got a catch-all on it, so you just stick in knob end at techaddicts.uk and it should reach me, hopefully.
I'm not surprised at all.
You can find me on Twitter at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I've got my Mastodon and Blue Sky, but I've got my GarethMiles.com where you can find out most of the stuff about me. Ted, where might they find you?
They will find me at tedsalmon.com, and that's where I hang out. And they'll also find me in MeWe at tedsalmon.com. We've got links to all of our MeWe groups and all of our audio podcasts. This week, before Gareth disappears off on a plane somewhere, we hopefully are going to record a Projector Room podcast. and that will talk about films, TV, and all that cinema-y kind of stuff. And our good friend Alan will join us, so be aware of that one. And just today, was it today? No, yesterday, we put out a Whatever Works podcast, so that's out there as well. And there's a PSC, of course, as there is every week. So that's all happening from tedsalmon.com. You'll get all the links in there as well. If you want to buy me a coffee, it's at paypal.me/Ted Salmon. Phew.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. Have a lovely time, everyone, and we'll catch us all toward the end of next week for something hopefully a little bit special, or else another mildly disappointment.
Have a nice holiday.
Yeah, I'll try. All right, take care now. Speak to you soon.
Bye.